Well, good morning again, everybody. So I wanted to give you a 2-week progress check since my last video. And I'm standing right at the spot where I opened the last video and showed you the dense brush, which looked like that over there. And so I didn't realize how steep this hill was. Anyway, we cleared down to the creek. And we've cleared on both sides. I'll go on the other side and show you what we've done. You can see the burning piles here, and I'm going to show you some footage of some of the clearing and the burning. We just got off of a burn ban after the 3 3/4 inches of rain that we got a couple weeks ago. It's going to dry out fast, but getting off that burn ban was huge in that we'll get rid of these piles and be able to bury the stumps. So this is up on the hill. There's 4, 5, 6 acres in here. Another probably 2, 3 or 4 that needs to be cleared in there. And that's just about the last spot that needs to be cleared. So I'm going to give you a little tour around here, and then we're going to look at some of the footage as I talk, showing you what's happened in the last 2 weeks. So stay tuned. So I was just up at the top of that hill, looking down the hill that you just saw. I've moved down to the tank dam of the pasture right adjacent to the 20 acres that we're clearing. And this is what that looks like now. And you can see we've left scattered trees. One very interesting thing that I really like is that this was so dense, like down in there, that these big trees, these fairly big trees that we've left, there's no low hanging branches because the canopies stretched up high. The branches down below couldn't get sunlight through this dense canopy, or the dense understory. And so it's going to be real nice to be able to drive around in here with the cab tractor and not break out windows or hit mirrors, etc. And so we've left a little stretch of brush on all 3 sides so that you actually can't see into this little area. And we're going to show you some burning that just started happening yesterday. I'll show you some footage of that. But this is the scattered trees we're leaving. Quite a few down in this little area, less up on that other hill. But I'm going to drive around and give you some perspective, and we'll show you kind of what the lay of the land is starting to look like. So quite a few, there's like 3 gullies running through this property that will be fairly picturesque when we get it all completed. But this is kind of the story. So I've got some hay positioned here. These little creeks in through there, they're going to wash really bad when it rains. So we're going to plug up some holes with some old hay. This is hay from last year that we didn't use. And when I turn the cattle in here, where we use this hay to plug up some of those gullies, the cattle will tear those bales apart and kind of scatter them. But we'll start to get some erosion control, and we'll keep on forging ahead. So sit tight for just a minute, and I'm going to move spots. So we just came from over there. That's the tank dam that I was standing on, looking this way. So I'll zoom back out, and and you can get some perspective from where I was. And then I opened this video way up at the top of that hill over there. You can see the fence post barely. And then I was looking this way. So this is what's left of the big pile, the first big pile that I showed you in last week's video. And that's 24 hours of burning. The pot's been stirred a couple times by the track hoe. We're saving all the big cedar logs that we can and some big oak trees that we're taking to the lumber mill to have cut into lumber. And then I'm going to play you some video of this pile when it first started burning yesterday, so that'll be playing as I talk. So here's some video of this pile when it first started burning yesterday, and you can see that it was a pretty large fire. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 of these big piles that have been burning for 24 hours. And you can see the track hoe and the bulldozer working to the bulldozer primarily being to just do kind of the finish work and clean things up and smooth things out, and then the track hoe taking down the majority of the brush. Now the bulldozer can take out a lot of the yopon. The bigger trees are a little tough, but here's a clip of the track hoe taking out some big trees and putting them on the pile. So I'm going to let that play without talking here for a second. So watch that, and then we'll resume the video here in just a second. We'll lose some of these trees and we'll come back in and clean them up, but just looking at the panorama, you can see where we're at. So we're 2 weeks in. We've probably got another 3 or 4 days of doing some clearing of brush on that far hill there, and then they're going to start building the pond. So we'll look at a little more footage here from yesterday where I won't be talking, and then I'm going to show you the pond site. Shut up. Shut up. Just a little quick aside, I just wanted to show you the trees we're taking out of here for lumber. So there's a bunch of cedar. This is all cedar in here. We took out a big load of oak trees yesterday that went to the lumber mill. You can see the stuff that isn't going to make lumber we're cutting up into firewood. And so we're trying to be good stewards of what's on the property and use it. A lot of the smaller oaks, though, we don't need an inordinate amount of firewood, and it's a lot of work. So that's the burn pile we were just at, but I just wanted to show you we're trying to be good stewards of the property and the resources that are on it. So there's that little fun fact. So this is a gully that we had stacked with huge pile of brush and logs, and you can see what's left of it after it's burned for 24 hours. And it's a pretty deep old gully, and you can see all the ash load there. So these ashes will wash down the creek when we get a good rain, and we're going to have a pond at the end of where this dumps into that larger creek that's just on the other side of this hill. So there's a tributary of this creek that comes on the other side of what you see that's cleared there. There's a low spot, pretty big gully, and then this gully here. And these ashes will wash down that creek, and I don't know if it'll help or not, but I'm hoping the ashes themselves help that pond seal. We're having trouble finding some clay to seal that pond, so our options are to find a vein of clay on some of my adjoining property, which I hate to do. I don't want to tear up any of that pasture, and if we do that, we'd have to truck it in with a dump truck, or we see if we can find, when he starts to build this pond, he'll see if he can find some clay on this property. And if not, then I'm considering just buying some bentonite, which will seal those ponds. Takes quite a bit of it. I don't know how cost prohibitive that will or won't be, but that's kind of where we're sitting. So those decisions are yet to be made. But you can see, and I'm going to concurrently run the video of this brush pile yesterday. It was huge, and it's just amazing how we can get rid of that and carry on with the program here. Back up there where that, you can see that smoke up this little canyon, is where this canyon, or this gully, comes through here, and it's pretty deep. You can see down on the bottom there. And so it runs down here and meets up with this larger gully. That is the gully that comes from that, where I was standing on that tank dam on the other side of the fence, way up there. And so where these two come together, we're going to build a dam right below there. So down in there, we'll build a dam that we can drive from this side of the property to the other side and vice versa. You can see some, well, that's cleared back on the other side. You can see it over there. And so a lot of these trees will be gone. Well, we're not going to bowl this out too much. We'll leave these gullies to get full of water and just leave these fingers of a pond. We're not sure how to look yet, so we're yet to decide. And it kind of depends on how it develops on the operator's end. And again, I think the clay is going to be a big issue to try to figure out how to seal that tank so it doesn't leak. I mean, it's just pure, just a sandy loam soil, and so it's not going to hold water worth a darn. So we'll have to work on that, but it's coming together. So we've got probably 85% of it cleared where we want it, how we want it. And then the next stage is to dig this pond, and we may put another pond down below it, just to kind of catch the runoff. And then we'll start getting ready to put cattle in here. My big problem as far as cattle is concerned is we want to redo this perimeter fence, and my nephew's going to build the fence. He does a really good job, but he's got a thriving business putting up metal buildings, and so he's got to fit us in. And I don't want to wait till he can get to it, which probably will be 6-8 weeks. I want to take advantage of being able to unroll some hay on this and get the cattle to eat it and tromp it in and protect this as best I can from erosion. So I'm just walking and rambling, but so in order to do that, the track hoe is going to come in and the dozer and clear the fence line and clear the existing fence. And then we've got to wait on my nephew. So assuming he can't get here for quite some time, then I'm going to electric fence this off with 2 strands of electric fence. And that'll be the only perimeter fence in this for this pasture, because the existing fence will be gone. So there's a little bit of risk with that. Tree falls on the fence, or for whatever reason the deer takes down part of the fence, cattle get out. They got quite a distance they can travel. So that's going to be a little bit interesting, maybe a little nerve-wracking for me. And if it doesn't work, then I'll have to forego unrolling hay and letting the cattle eat it to try to prevent erosion. So we'll just have to see how all that works out. We're not going to burn this stuff we pushed into the gully right here. We're just going to let that decompose naturally. And I don't remember exactly why the guy that is doing the clearing said he wanted to do that, but nevertheless, that's the plan. And so you're looking up, that's looking up at the fence line where I started the first video and started this video. So I was looking back this way when I started this video. You can see we made a crossing down through the canyon. You can see the dense brush that still remains there. And we're going to leave all this stuff along the sides of this canyon. And the reason being, again, just erosion control. We're going to have enough of a problem with the amount of fall here. Won't be bad with some normal light rains, but it's going to be a booger if we get a 3 or 4 incher. So anyway, that's the 2-week update. I'm really enjoying this project. You can just, again, it's going to be very picturesque when we get grass on it. When you see cattle out here grazing, it's going to be awesome. So I'm really thinking that what I'm going to do, I just bought some Gulf Coast ryegrass yesterday. I think once they get all this smoothed out and finished, as far as the stuff on these hills, that I'm going to come in with the no-till drill and put about 300 pounds of ryegrass seed on this. May do more depending on how it's going and if I need more. And that's a double-edged sword too, because as soon as it starts poking up out of the ground, if cattle are in here, they're going to want to nibble that stuff and they'll pull it out by the roots. But I'm hoping it's so thick when it starts to come up that the cattle can't chase it all. And I'm also hoping that they'll concentrate on eating the hay. So erosion control is going to be my major problem. But other than that, we're just going to have to do what we can. But I'm liking it so far. I think it's going to be awesome. So hang with me. I appreciate you riding along with me. Sorry this is a little bit long-winded, but that's just me. Have a great day. Bye-bye.